All right. Hello, everyone. I don't know about you, but that little 2-minute countdown got me pretty excited. My name is Caroline. I am here from Lighthouse Labs, one of Canada's leading technical education companies. And we're super excited to be here with our Career Accelerator initiative and welcoming Kamara, who for so many reasons is going to be an amazing speaker today, talking about how you can level up your LinkedIn. So throughout the pandemic, Lighthouse Labs has committed to $1 million in scholarships and has helped reskill hundreds of people and launch their careers into the future of work. And one of the main things that we get questions about is how to pivot your resume to reflect a career change, how to break into tech. And I think that's what we're going to talk a little bit about today. So we've got the absolute expert here. And without further ado, I'm going to have Kamara come on because I know you're all here to listen to her and not me. Thank you, Kamara.
Thank you so much for the intro, Caroline. I really appreciate it. And thank you so much for hosting me tonight or today, wherever you're tuning in from around the world. Thanks, and we'll see you in a little bit, Caroline. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining. As Caroline mentioned, this will be a jam-packed hour of LinkedIn information. We're going to cover LinkedIn. We're going to dive deep into LinkedIn and approaching it from a personal branding standpoint so you can stand out in your job search because that's what we're all here for, right? So let me bring up my deck. I have a lot to share with you guys today. And please do ask your questions throughout the session in the chat. And I'm going to be popping in and out of the chat to just check on things, see what you guys are asking, if any burning questions are coming up that need to be addressed urgently. And so let's jump into it. And I want to hear from, well, first of all, I'll just give you a quick intro about me. I am a certified coach, resume writer, LinkedIn consultant. I was named a LinkedIn Top Voice this year, which was a huge, huge honor. I'm the #1 jobs search strategist to follow according to JobScan 2019, and I made the list again this year. Published in a best-selling book, featured in a variety of media. I have clients all over the world, and I'm a little obsessed with The Office, which I think you'll see as we're going through our presentation today. So I want to hear from you guys. Please say hi in the chat and tell me where you're tuning in from, city, state, country, wherever. Love to hear where everybody is, what you're studying at Lighthouse Labs or what you did study or what you plan to study, and what your target job is once you've either completed your studies at Lighthouse Labs or are starting your job search. I'd love to hear. So I'm going to pop back over to the chat. Hello, Tom. Wonderful to meet you. Thank you for attending. There's a bit of a delay in the chat, so I'm just going to give it a few moments. I would just love to hear from you guys. And so let me know in the chat where you're tuning in from. And if you have any questions right off the bat for LinkedIn, you might as well pop them in the chat now so we can make sure that they're covered off as we go on throughout the session. So awesome. And Tom is connecting from San Fran, so that is great. Thanks for joining us, Tom. And I'll check in on the chat in a minute. We should really get started because we have a lot to cover. So what's ahead? Today, we're going to cover first what you need to do before you create your LinkedIn profile or write your LinkedIn profile. We're going to cover why LinkedIn, why does it matter? How to build a standout profile, how to make your previous career make sense to your current career direction. I think there's quite a few of us who have gone through a career transformation, which brought us to Lighthouse Labs. And so we want to figure out how we can best talk about that. And then we will, of course, have Q&A, but if there's burning questions through, I will try and address them. So this is probably my favorite GIF of all time when it comes to capturing the job search. So when it comes to our job search, it's so hard to stand out, isn't it? Like, what do we tell people? What do we share? Like, what's important? What do they need to know about us? And so I think this is quite a common answer, or at least an answer we want to give when we're asked what's great about us. So we need to be a little more specific than Andy here. So let's take a look at what we want to cover off before we write our LinkedIn profile, because this is really important and a critical step that cannot be missed. So just popping back into the chat to see where everyone's tuning in from. Hello, Joe from Sudbury. Aiming to transition from business to a developer role. Awesome. Erasmo from Venezuela, looking for full stack dev. We've got Scott from Victoria. We've got a company named 3D Printing from Victoria as well. Know how to post on LinkedIn without seeming silly. Okay, we can talk about that. Hello, Owlcat. You're transitioning into tech from academia. Oh, very, very cool. Fantastic, guys. Well, thank you everyone for joining. So let's get back to the presentation. So before you start your LinkedIn profile creation, we need to cover off some really important things. So first, you need to identify what is your target job. You need to nail kind of like the now what. So I've decided I want to make a career transition. And I've gone through my studies at Lighthouse Labs. Now what? What am I targeting? And the reason that this is important is because a target job informs all the stories that you tell on your LinkedIn or your resume, or in your interview or in your networking. It informs everything. So just as an analogy, you don't really start cooking a meal before you know what you're making, right? That's kind of the same thing when it comes to a target job. You don't start a job search until you've nailed that target job. But based on what I'm hearing in the chat, a lot of you have a very clear idea. So I'm very pleased to see that. And next, we want to take stock of what we've already accomplished in our career, even our pre-Lighthouse Labs career. And we're going to talk more about that in a little bit. So that this is almost like, what ingredients do I have in my kitchen already to make that meal that I want to make? What strengths do you already have that you can bring to your new target job? All right, so let's talk a little bit about discovering our target job. Perhaps there are a few people tuning in who haven't totally nailed it down, but that's okay. So your target job, as we mentioned, is probably what brought you to Lighthouse Labs in the first place. So you're already several steps ahead in identifying what your target job is, or maybe you already have. And just to give you some resources to help you identify your target job if you need them. Of course, the Career Accelerator and the Career Accelerator team at Lighthouse Labs, wealth of information. You might want to work with a career clarity coach. They can help you determine what's next for yourself. I highly recommend the book that I was in, UMAP. And those are just a few ideas that you might want to consider if you are finding yourself a bit challenged with nailing down what your target job is. But let's get back to LinkedIn. So we talked about taking stock of our accomplishments and all the great things we've already done in our career. So what I recommend you do is you start what's called a work wins file. And it's basically a tracking document and a brain dump of all the awesomeness you've ever done at work. And basically, I recommend that you build this as a habit now and keep it as a habit until you retire. It's that important. As we mentioned, target job informs like everything about your job search. The work wins file will be the resume content you need, the LinkedIn content you need, the interview content you need, as well as you can access your work wins file and leverage what you have tracked there to ask for promotions, ask for raises. This is a very important file to keep. When you're tracking your work wins and all the great things you've done at work, you don't need to filter it. You don't need to treat it as a resume. I just want you to write it down. That's the most important part, is to write it down and make it a habit. Some examples of what you want to write down and keep track of might include going above and beyond at work, how you maybe change things for the better, innovative things you did. I'm sure there are a lot of very innovative and creative thinkers tuning in tonight, and maybe ways and examples that demonstrate your leadership. I have a video on my YouTube channel about how to track your work accomplishments, which you can check out later. So let's talk about your personal brand. What does that mean? So your personal brand is really how others would describe you. So when you are thinking about your personal brand and the stories that you tell on your LinkedIn profile or in your resume or during an interview, you want to give consideration to what do you want to be known for? And why do you want to be known for it? And maybe this is a bit of a perspective shift, but job searching is really marketing you and selling yourself as a service provider of one. So that's why knowing what you want to be known for and why you want to be known for it is so important, because you want to communicate and market yourself in a compelling way in order to land your target job. So let's talk about why LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is a critical marketing tool to market you as a service provider of one and to highlight your story and personal brand. Your digital presence is essential. It's uncommon to not have a digital presence at this point. And your profile is like your own little piece of internet real estate. It is a primary tool used by recruiters and hiring managers, which probably everyone knows. It's just used very widely and vastly. Just to give you an example, LinkedIn was down last week, I think, just for a short period of time. It had an outage, and recruiters were freaking out on Twitter. They didn't know what to do with themselves. That's how important LinkedIn is. And LinkedIn is more engaging than a resume, as in it is not a digital resume. And we're going to talk more about that. So when it comes to LinkedIn, overall LinkedIn strategy, I like to propose something called the WWW approach. The first W is warmth, where you want to show your human side and tell your story. The second W is words. So we want to identify and use keywords or key search terms, going back to what do we want to be known for and why do we want to be known for it? This is where keywords come in, so we can be found for those things. And wins. That goes back to the work wins file, our accomplishments and strengths that we are tracking on an ongoing basis. We want to highlight those on our LinkedIn profile. And before I get any further, I just want to check in on the chat and make sure that everyone is doing okay. Hello, Sion, sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. Hello, Becky, thanks for joining. Hello, Avantos, thank you for joining. Wonderful. All right, so just a reminder, if you have any questions, please do get them into the chat. We will get to them. All right. Okay, so let's talk about building a LinkedIn profile from head to toe. We're starting with the profile picture. So the key with the profile picture is that it's there. It's a must. No profile picture creates an element of suspicion. And the profile picture really creates an instant kind of know, like, and trust factor. And just to put your minds at ease, it's not a beauty contest. So really with our profile pictures, we just want it to be professional and be there. So no selfies or travel photos, please. And you don't need to have a profile picture taken by a professional. All you need to do is have a friend or family member take it for you, or even use a tripod. And you want to be in your professional attire, standing against a neutral background. Make sure you're not backlit, because that will impact the picture. And just look directly at the camera and smile. That's really all it takes. It's not overly complicated. Sorry, guys, there we go. Okay. Some reason my slides don't want to advance. Just going to exit this for a sec. And reshare. Okay, let's make sure that's showing up. Okay, looks like it is. All right, sorry about that. Okay, so let's talk about the background photo on our LinkedIn profiles. So right now on our profiles, this might be showing up as kind of abstract looking gray art blobs. We can do a lot with this section and really continue to showcase our personal brand. So our background photo, lots of possibilities for this. I don't want you to neglect this. I'm not a graphic designer by any means. Mine is a little cluttered, so don't use mine as an example. But if you have creative flair and creative skills, you can do a lot with the background photo. This is an area where you can showcase highlights about yourself, like strengths and skills. And you want to make sure it's on brand for you. So again, this goes back to your target job as well as your personal brand. What do you want to be known for and why? So don't use landscape photos for no reason or cityscape photos that don't make sense. You want it to make sense for your brand. Probably everyone on the broadcast knows about these sites, but you can grab some free stock photos from places like Unsplash, Pexels, and Raw Pixel just to get you started. Sorry, guys, I don't know what is up. There we go. All right. So let's talk about our headline. So headlines are a must on our profile. We now get 220 characters. So we get to say more, but we need to use those characters wisely. What we want to do with our headline and the purpose of our headline is really to entice people to click and learn more about us. So including keywords is really important as well. So specialties you want to be found for, things you're an expert in. Again, this all goes back to your personal brand. So a formula for how you might want to write your headline would include what you do or type of professional you are. So web developer, let's say, plus the main solution you create. So let's take a look at a couple examples. So here's a boring and basic example. Web developer. That's it. So yeah, says what we do, but that's about it. Something that's better, but still a bit boring is web developer skilled in Ruby on Rails. Okay. But a leveled up version would read something like this. Web developer, Ruby on Rails, and maybe tell a bit about where you've been and where you're going now. So marketing professional turned web developer, leveraging knowledge of something from your previous career to build whatever now. This is just an example of something that I came up for an imaginary person. And so the great thing about this is it's saying what we do and the type of professional we are. It's giving some insight into our previous career, like our previous life. And now it's telling the reader about where we're headed as well. So it's covering off a lot of different things, as well as it tells the reader about the main solution that we create in our new career direction. Okay, so let's talk about the about section, or previously this has been known as the summary section. So this is where you really want to tell your story. You get I have 2,200 characters, but I think it's actually 2,400 characters now. So you get to say a lot. It's where you tell your career story. So where has your career taken you? These are just some prompts to get you thinking about what to write in this section. Why are you making a career shift? Like, what brought you to Lighthouse Labs? Why are you making this career transition? What did you learn in your previous career that you can bring to your new career? What are your top career accomplishments? What are you passionate about? What are you known for? Again, this is all personal branding stuff. Who would you love to serve in your new direction? What can you offer that's unique and different? By making a career transition, you have a lot of unique insights that you can bring to the table in your new career. So making sure you identify what that is. And then at the bottom of every about section or at the bottom of your summary, what I really encourage you to include is a call to action to connect. And I also encourage you to include your email address here as well. Now, with your email address there, this will help recruiters or folks who are hiring reach out to you if, say, they can't send you, say, an in-mail on LinkedIn, or if perhaps they send you a connection request and you didn't have a chance to respond to it or accept it. They can then instead reach out to you by email. So this is really helpful. You'll, of course, want to make sure that your about section is public on your public profile as well, so that that is something that can be retrieved by a recruiter. Now let's talk about your experience section. So we need to make your previous career make sense to your current direction and to your new future employers. So as we've already addressed, many of you are transforming your career. What I want to reassure you of is everything is translatable. So everything that you did in a previous career, though it may seem not super relevant to where you're headed now, it is translatable. So what I want to make sure is that you're not losing that beginning part of your story. That is very important to your personal brand and where you're headed as a professional now. Also, I want to note that every skill is a transferable skill. So it may not be transferable to every single job, but a skill does not exist merely as one skill for one job, one company. So don't overly stress about, is this a transferable skill or is this not a transferable skill? Just know that if it's something you have as a skill or a strength that your future employer wants from you, by that very factor, it makes it a transferable skill. So what do I have that my new or future employer wants from me in my target job? So that's where the transferable skill comes in, and knowing that will also help you translate any accomplishments that you have from your earlier career. So let's talk about translating that stuff, translating the early career, so your previous life. How do we translate that to your future? So I like to recommend a format or a framework that I call the 5 R's. So what we want to do with our previous accomplishments is we want to reframe our previous accomplishments so that they are relevant to our target job, they relate to our target job, they reinforce skills and strengths required or desired in our target job, and that resonates with our future or target employer, as in speaking their language. So with the experience section, we want to use that also to tell our story. So we want to highlight stories that validate our top strengths that are needed in our future and target role. Again, we want to make it make sense to our target employer. We want to pull all that good stuff from the work wins file that we talked about earlier in the session. Also in our experience section, we want to talk about what motivated you to make a career transition. Obviously, everyone here has a story for why they're making that transition. And what did you do in your previous roles that you actually really enjoyed doing, or that you were really proud of doing? That's cool stuff that a reader would like to read about on your LinkedIn profile in your experience section. And if you want to level up, you want to talk about in each of your roles, what did you do in these previous roles that equipped you with unique skills, strengths, or insight for your new career direction? So maybe an example might be you have experience in client services, and that enhances your ability to understand client needs and integrate that into web development, let's say. That's just an example. Okay, before we get into our skill section, I'm just going to hop over to the chat, make sure you guys are doing okay. All right. Good question. This is about profile photos. Tom, the tech industry is more laid back. Should I put a more relaxed photo? So my thinking is yes, relaxed, but professional. So know what the kind of common attire is at target employers and wear that. My concern is taking it too professional, basically like wearing a suit when you wouldn't wear a suit to work. So when that's the case, when you don't normally wear a suit, let's say, the kind of buttoned up possible discomfort with wearing a suit is going to show up in the pictures. So wear your usual professional attire. So, and if that's laid back, if that's like a polo or whatever, or if it's even like just a black t-shirt, then that's what you should wear in your profile photo. I hope that helps. Okay, so let's head back to the presentation. All right, so skills section. So your skills section is a mix of keywords and actual skills. So we've talked about transferable skills. All skills are transferable skills, but you need to identify which skills your target employer would want in your target job. With your skills section, you want to be really specific. And I would say don't forget your soft skills either. So, stakeholder engagement, customer service, collaboration, don't forget those things. Those are important too. We are going to focus on keywords. This is a highly searchable section of your profile. You're also allowed up to 50, which is a lot. So I would recommend using as many as possible. But of course, make sure that you're skilled in all 50. Also, don't assess your skills. So don't say excellent web development skills or proficient in web development. We don't want to say that. All you would say is web development. And then you would talk about the different tools that you are proficient in. So you would put Ruby on Rails, or sorry, I'm not a developer. Ruby on Rails, HTML, WordPress, whatever. So you would put whatever you're proficient in. You would state the skill itself so that you can get kind of a keyword point. Also, I've seen in my travels that LinkedIn does or did a really bad job of importing skills when people originally set up their profiles. So I was an early adopter of LinkedIn, so I don't remember, but I think when you set up an account, you upload your resume and then it kind of predicts what are skills and parses them. It's not good at that. It's not skilled in parsing skills. So you really want to make sure that you audit your skill list and make sure that it didn't add extra characters or carriage returns or any sort of garbage. If you want to level up your skills section, what you want to do is prioritize your top 3 skills. So if we go back to this screenshot of mine, as you can see, I've got 1, 2, 3. So resume writing, public speaking, online training. Those 3 skills are given kind of the best real estate on my skill section in my profile. So they're the most prominent. So you'll want to make sure that your top 3 skills are listed there. And the way you do that is by pinning your skills. I have a video on my YouTube channel about pinning skills, but you all are very tech savvy, so I don't think you need it. Just when you go in to edit your skills, you'll see a push pin on the left-hand side where you can pin and unpin skills that you want in the top 3. Okay, so let's level up even more with some LinkedIn features and extras that will really help us highlight our personal brands. So recommendations. Recommendations are so valuable. They are truly LinkedIn gold, and I recommend that you get in the habit of requesting recommendations. If it feels awkward to ask for a recommendation from someone, I would recommend, I can't stop saying the word recommend. I would recommend writing a recommendation for them first, and kind of the law of reciprocity will work itself out. A note on recommendations is that anyone can write you a recommendation. So anyone who you've worked with professionally, it can provide you with a valid recommendation. So basically what I'm trying to say is don't only pursue recommendations from bosses or former bosses. They can come from clients, they can come from bosses, of course, they can come from peers, they can come from people who you've mentored or people who have reported into you. Just think of anyone and everyone who you've worked with professionally and you've enjoyed working with, and you think could write you a solid recommendation that will highlight and feature the strengths that you need reinforced to bring to your target job. Also, you want to make sure to customize your LinkedIn URL. I'm going to show you that in a second. We'll talk about the featured section as well. And there's also a name pronunciation feature, which is great and new and something I love. Okay, so let's talk about customizing your LinkedIn profile URL. So as you can see, and maybe some of your profiles are like this in the URL, you might have a bunch of random letters and numbers after your name to keep it unique. You can get rid of those. You don't need to have those there, assuming no one has claimed your name. So you'll want to customize your LinkedIn profile URL and try and get it as just first name hyphen last name if you can. If you cannot, then maybe throw in a middle initial. If that doesn't work, you can just put like a single digit number after a single or double digit number after your name. But we really want to clean up the extra characters that follow our name. And this will really help us with SEO visibility and also show that we have that attention to detail. So you can check out my video on customizing your LinkedIn URL. Again, y'all are very tech savvy, so you probably don't need to watch this. And it'll take you like 30 seconds to make this change. All right, featured section. So this is really helpful for you guys because this allows you to feature work. So you can treat this featured section like a mini portfolio on your LinkedIn, and I would recommend that you do. So if there's a site that you built for one of your projects or something that you created that's part of your portfolio that you can easily link to, make sure that you do use the featured section and insert it there and use that featured section to your advantage. Name pronunciation. So I love this because my name is often mispronounced. So if you have a name that's mispronounced on occasion or frequently, I would recommend using the name pronunciation tool, which is on mobile. And you can basically record yourself saying your name, and this will help anyone who wants to reach out to you so that they don't have to be nervous about mispronouncing your name. So I love this tool. All right, let's talk about LinkedIn best practices. Someone was asking about posting content and not seeming silly. Yeah, absolutely. We need to be cognizant of that. So what I like to advise with LinkedIn in terms of use, in terms of posting content, in terms of engaging with content is to get in, get out. None of us need another social media platform where we're spending a huge amount of time. We don't need another Facebook, essentially. When we are logging into and using LinkedIn, consistency of use over duration is what's most important. We're going to stay on brand in our interactions. So we talked about previously about our brand, our personal brand, what we want to be known for, why, what we want to be found for. So when we're engaging with content, we want it to be on brand for us. So if we're going into web development, we want it to be web development or web development adjacent. If we're going into data analytics, we want it to be around data analytics. We want to set the tone that we are someone who has expertise or increasing expertise in our field. We want to comment on other people's content and ask questions. So going back to that previous question about seeming silly, this is almost a guaranteed way to not. So LinkedIn treats comments as a high value interaction. And the reason for that, I'm sure you guys can guess, is more comments means longer duration of eyeballs on LinkedIn, which means more opportunity to put ads in front of you. So LinkedIn loves comments and rewards you with visibility for commenting. And so when you comment, so long as it's a thoughtful comment, it's on topic, or if it's a question, that's also on topic for that relates back to the other content that you're commenting or questioning. That is like a surefire way not to seem silly. But going back to like getting a little deeper on that question about seeming silly, people do want to hear about your story. So rather than, I'm not sure what you're posting, and we can talk about this more in the Q&A, but with content that we're posting, if we're posting about something that we're excited about, that we are proud of, if we position it like that, rather than like, hey, I'm selling this service, I'm selling this web development service for 25% off in the month of March, that's silly. But if you're saying, I'm so excited, I just finished my studies at Lighthouse Labs, and now I'm ready to build websites for clients. A few of the examples of the websites that I have built during my time at Lighthouse Labs were, and then you can list a few that you created in terms of the type of clients you worked with or the type of sites that you built. And just being authentic and being excited about your work will pretty much also guarantee that you're not going to seem silly. So we're not treating our content like a commercial. It is content, and it's sharing of our story, sharing of what we're excited about. We were talking about creating your own content. You can create your own content on LinkedIn. It's not an absolute must. If you're going to do nothing else, just make sure that you're commenting on other people's content, because that will gain you, like I said, a lot of visibility points on its own. And of course, with LinkedIn, we're using it to build relationships. So let's talk a bit about building relationships. And yes, you can use it to stalk people who you admire. I really recommend being a raving fan of people who you admire and would like to know and network with. If you share their content, comment on their content, they'll notice that and they'll appreciate it, and they'll be open to a conversation later down the road if you want to ask them, say, for an informational interview. So there is the option on LinkedIn to customize your connection requests. And you can do this if you want. Now that I've been customizing LinkedIn connection requests more, like I have more experience with customizing them, and I've also got more experience with receiving them, I don't think it's super necessary to customize your connection requests, but you can if you want. So I'm just pointing this out as an option. Basically you can use it to let someone know like why you're connecting, how you might know each other offline or on another platform. If you're hoping that you can get an informational interview with them, you could also mention a request for an informational interview, say for like a quick chat, phone or Zoom or what have you. So you can do that in the connection request, or you could just send them a connection request and then follow up with a message once they accept. Okay, so let's get into the Q&A. So we've got, wow, we flew through that. So we got 20 minutes. So really what I want to point out as kind of your key takeaways from today is to really get clear on where you're headed with identifying your target job. Like, that's so important. I can't stress the target job enough. You'll want to take stock of where you've been and track your work wins on an ongoing basis until you retire. And translate your skills and stories to make them make sense for your next career move. And of course, we want to stay on brand. So what do I want to be known for? Why do I want to be known for it? And how do I want people to find me? We want to stay on brand. That is how we will get found. That is how we will increase our visibility. And that is how you'll ultimately be noticed in order to land your target job. Just wanted to point out a few additional resources before we get to Q&A. So my YouTube channel, where you're watching this, I post new job search related videos every Tuesday at 8 a.m. Eastern. I offer free live training and Q&A every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, where I broadcast live on YouTube and LinkedIn. On my site, I have a free cover letter guide, which you can pick up if you like, and it's under the menu item free stuff. And you'll also get reminders for videos. And I will just leave that up for a second, and we can revisit it if needed. Oh yes, today's session is recorded. If you need to revisit it, by all means, it will be available to you using the same link, and you can watch it as many times as you like. Okay. All right. So let's get your questions. All right. So let me close down this share. All right, guys. So just going into the chat, checking on your questions. Please do type any questions that you do have right into the chat. Okay. So we've covered Tom's question about the photo. All right, Joe. For the headline, can I add full stack developer if I have a few projects but haven't landed the role yet? Yeah, I mean, that's really your call about how much you own it. You can put full stack developer and of course, followed up with an expansion like we were looking at earlier. Or you can say future full stack developer, aspiring full stack developer. It's up to you how you want to qualify it if you're not feeling totally comfortable claiming the title. But you could also add some clarity to that, to the full stack developer, and say that you are, say, whatever your previous role was. So business development professional, let's say, turns full stack developer, and then add a little bit more information like we were looking at earlier. It's totally your call. But I would recommend having the term full stack developer in your headline, because that is a very searchable field. Let me know if you have follow-up questions from that. Alcat, could you talk more about retiring skills from your profile? Just watched your resume KonMari video where you also addressed it, but I feel hesitant dumping older skills off my profile, especially soft ones. Okay, so it really goes back to, what does my future employer want? And also look at the level of endorsements that you have. So if you have like quite a few endorsements for something like client service, and you're headed towards web development, I would probably keep client services there because it has so many endorsements. If you say have client service with 0 endorsements, there's no value, and you don't really need client service as a skill, then there's no value in keeping it, because you can always add it back later. It all comes down to endorsement level, but more importantly, What does my target employer want from me in my target job? Is this a skill that is important to where I'm headed? And I hope that helps. Let me know if you have follow-up questions. Can you maybe talk about or recommend resources on storytelling and getting clear on a personal brand? So I mostly would recommend other coaches. So from a storytelling perspective, I recommend Carrie Twigg. You can find her on LinkedIn. And from a personal branding standpoint, I would recommend Diana YK Chan, and you can also find her on LinkedIn. So I will type that in the chat. So storytelling experts is Carrie Twigg, and personal brand expert is Diana YK Chan. And you can find them on LinkedIn. You can also find them on YouTube. You can find them everywhere. Wonderful. Thank you, Joe. That's fantastic. Thank you, 3D printing. Happy to answer. So please do let me know what questions you have that have come up for you. Happy to answer. Even if it's not LinkedIn related, if it's job search related, I'm here for you. So just ask away. Resume related. Yeah, game for any of your job search questions. I know it's kind of it can be intimidating, a job search, especially now with navigating the pandemic. It can be a little difficult and feel a little difficult. All right. Oh, my pleasure. Yes, please ask. That's what I'm here for. Mary Lou, what if you have a 2 to 3 dimensional career? Can you tell me more about that? Can you tell me more about what you mean? And then we can dig into that question. Okay, I think this is your follow-up. Would you do separate profiles or just one LinkedIn? Yeah, I would not do separate profiles. Yeah, so as a rule, I would not create separate profiles. That's going to get really messy from an SEO perspective. If you Google yourself, Google your name, you're going to see one of the top hits on Google is your LinkedIn profile. So if someone sees multiple profiles for you, they're going to get really confused and not know, where do I reach out? So if a recruiter is confused about where to reach out to you, they will not reach out to you. So this will hinder your job search. So, but let me know what you mean about 2 to 3 dimensional career, and maybe I can address that. Okay. Thoughts on looking for opportunities anywhere on the LinkedIn profile, either using the LinkedIn feature or just in text? Okay, good question. Okay, so there is a feature that I definitely recommend on LinkedIn, which is let recruiters know that you're open to new opportunities. So when you log into your profile, if you haven't turned it on already, it should be, I believe it's located just under your headline. Could be called career preferences. It can also be accessed in the settings of your profile as well. So when you are filling that out, you fill out target job titles. Again, this is why target job is so important. Location. Let's say Toronto. Actually, for something like Toronto, I would define it as Greater Toronto. I think it's called Toronto metro area or Greater Toronto metro area. So for cities of similar size, I would recommend casting a wider geographical net if you can. So you've got location, then you've got job type. So like full-time, part-time, temporary, and remote. So if you're willing to work remote, which I think all of us are, then definitely make sure that's checked. And then it'll give you the option to tell recruiters only or tell everybody. So if you select the tell recruiters only, that's not going to do anything aside from what's on the kind of back end for recruiters. But if you tell everybody, then it will add that green banner on your profile photo. And I think that's what you're meaning. Oh, you're also asking just in text. So I would only use this tool, and it's up to you whether you want to put the banner on your profile photo or not. I would not indicate in text that you are looking for opportunities. However, in your summary, let's say, at the bottom, you could say something to the effect of, I'm now ready for my next opportunity as a, and then that will help the reader know what they should be reaching out to you about. But I wouldn't use the text looking for opportunities. What's most important when it does come to being approached for new opportunities is to have a full and complete and well-written profile. That's the key. Having that let recruiters know you're open or having the green banner, that's all secondary stuff. So priority one, good profile. I hope that helps. Okay, Mary Lou, let's get back to your question. For example, I have a career with the federal government and have social media agency on the side and an influencer as well. Trying to type fast. Okay. So yeah, so I think a few of us will be in the scenario where we've got a side hustle. That's challenging, and that's why it all comes down to what is our target, what is my target job? So you're using LinkedIn to act as your presence to landing your target job. So we don't want to include anything that is going to confuse the reader about where you're actually going. So if you have a background, say working for whatever in your previous career, let's say you're in sales, but you are dabbling in web development and that's what brought you to Lighthouse Labs, and you're like, I could stay in sales or I could go web development, either or. You need to make a decision which way you're headed, because a confusing profile is one that does not get read and does not get a reach out. So you have to kind of draw your line in the sand, make a decision, and choose one way or the other for the story that you're going to tell. So you're either a salesperson turned web developer in this example, or you're a salesperson who has some web development education. Okay. I hope that helps. Okay, great, Alcat. I'm glad to hear that. Okay. We've got a few minutes left. Please do let me know what questions are coming up for you. I'm here to help. I'm just going to scan and make sure I haven't missed anything. If I have missed your question, please do point it out to me. Just checking. No, I think we're pretty covered. All right. Just a few more notes on LinkedIn content. Like if you're really into posting content on LinkedIn, rather than engaging with other people's content. There are kind of formats of LinkedIn content that seems to perform quite well. Lately, LinkedIn has really seemed to be liking kind of like carousel posts that you might see on LinkedIn, where it's like you flip through and there's a bunch of different facts or information in a multi-page document. LinkedIn seems to really like that right now. LinkedIn always loves its tried and true long form posts. So using, I think you're permitted like 1,250 characters in a post. They're loving that. What they're not super excited about, the algorithms aren't super excited about on LinkedIn, is video. So which hurts my heart because I'm a video person. And but you know, it is what it is. So it depends on how much visibility you want to gain and what you find most enjoyable when creating content. That's what you should lean on when you are making your posts on LinkedIn. Oh, thank you, Mary Lou. I think you have a follow-up question. Can you talk about using the self-publishing blog writing articles? Does it show in your page? Yes, it does. Sorry, I will leave your question up. Yes, it does show on your page. And I haven't used it a lot myself. I think my last post there was a long time ago because I prefer the more recent content. I find that more recent content, I find that content that I post more regularly that isn't in that publisher section performs better. You know, it's good to, like, the publisher section is good if you want to have something that's there forever and that's easier to access, but I don't think it's that important. I really like that featured section, and I think everybody should be using that if you have work to show off. That would be my suggestion, because also that's a section where you can send people out of LinkedIn if you so wish. Like if you have a strong portfolio outside of LinkedIn, then that's the section. The featured section is what you want to use to send people there. Okay. Do I recommend premium features? I recommend that you take the trial. I think everybody gets 30 days free. I will say this. I do not have the premium LinkedIn, and I've done fine without it. So I'll just say that, but test it out for yourself. Okay. And yeah, unfortunately, I can't tell you. That's the mystery of the algorithm. Certainly you could share, if you do post a post in Publisher on LinkedIn, you could share it outside of LinkedIn and try and get people to come in and look at that post. But I unfortunately can't tell you why the algorithm doesn't like those posts. Yeah, sorry. The mystery that is the algorithm. Anyway, so we've got a minute left. I just want to take this time to thank Caroline and Lighthouse Labs for hosting today. Thank you all for joining. Thanks for your great questions. I hope you found this helpful. If you do have any more questions that come up for you, please do attend my Thursday live office hours sessions, which broadcast here on YouTube, as well as LinkedIn Live, 8 p.m. Eastern, and you can ask me any questions that you have. Tomorrow night, my office hours episode will be me reviewing and critiquing 4 separate resumes, so that will be exciting. So please do feel free to join. And yeah, I really hope that this was helpful for everyone, and I wish you all the best in your job search and your LinkedIn journeys. Take care, everyone.